Hello, DW Randomizer, and welcome to the final day of group stage action here during the 2022 DW Randomizer Summer Tournament. My name is DK9146, and alongside me today is going to be Billick, bringing us some action in the slime group with NESCardinality and ryguy. How you doing today, Billick?
I'm doing good. And some major implications for the bracket in this matchup. ryguy needs a win. Needs a win in the worst way today. If he wins today, he is not only in, but first place in the group. If he loses, he's going to need some major help later in the day. So we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be a fantastic race here. Two veteran runners. I don't think NESCard needs any introduction at all. And ryguy very prolific through all of the DW randomizers, 1 through 4. So should be a really fun time. Both runners 4 and 1 coming into this race, and they're going to be starting with 8 strength and heal more.
Yeah, for sure. Two very skilled runners. I'm expecting a good match today. And heal more to start with, a little bit interesting.
Yeah, and the throne room gave them some blessings with key and cash. So they're going to be able to go get some extra keys here, check this throne room, check the basement if they choose to do so. So we're going to see several checks here momentarily. So we know what chat's kind of looking for here. Chat's looking for a whole lot of rubbish in the treasury and a non-helping cave downstairs. But we'll see what actually happens here. Although, you know, I kind of hope it's a little garbage myself.
We got both runners checking out the treasury.
Yeah, we have a belt, a torch, a death necklace, and a gold chest in the middle.
Nothing super helpful off the start. I mean, the torch is going to help against these starter enemies, and the gold is going to help if they're able to find a town.
Yeah, exactly. So they know they can get a gold grind set up real fast. NESCard going to opt to grind those torches, and then head back around. He's going to be our first runner to check downstairs. On ryguy's side, though, we do see a cave in this swamp down here. Town, rather.
Ooh, we got Ghost with a Hurtmore taking out ryguy. Meanwhile,
yeah.
NESCard checking out the basement.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if ryguy gets down to that town, if they have stuff that's decent for sale, if he does a full reset to get that gold grind going here. Meanwhile, didn't quite get to tell what that cave was. NESCard took one step north, Rogue Scorpion snipes him, so we have either grave or swamp south.
We've got Cole right off the bat here.
Well, it has a flame sword for sale here, along with the broadsword. He's going to opt to go ahead and pick up the chainmail. Maybe not quite thinking about that possibility of the gold grind or just not carrying. On the ground, though, he's going to get him the worst item in the game.
Are you surprised he didn't go for a weapon there, or is that maybe a bad play, not worth it?
To be honest, I am kind of surprised knowing that they only have 8 strength and he doesn't have the torches that NESCard has. So, like I said, maybe just not giving a thought that gold grind was an option out of the throne room. So, looks like he's going to opt to get out here and just get some kills if he can, while NESCard's up to level 3. Not really getting much help, though, after these first 2 levels.
We're seeing some Magidrakes with sleep. That's a little bit annoying to start off with.
Yeah, exactly. So NESCard sees that town down there, hasn't opted to go down that way yet, but is creeping on level 4 here momentarily. So that seems to be the primary focus, and then we'll see what he opts to do from here.
Yeah, he's taking the quick XP lead. Unfortunately for him, those levels haven't given a whole lot yet. He's already at level 4, though.
Yeah, level 4, 3, 3, 2, 1, 0. Nice countdown there, no spells. What we have on ryguy's side is he's just doing the slow grind on these gold chest here. He's looking for that broadsword.
And NESCard is going to pick up your favorite item.
Exactly. NESCard getting that fairy flute. Tends to like it a little more than I do. Probably going to follow suit and pick up that chainmail. No, opts not to.
Okay, ryguy going to save, hold on to this gold for sure, and pick up that sword that's in the town.
Yeah, so at this point, both runners are going to be geared up identically here within, 1 minute. Just with NESCard with a very minor experience lead, which is going to be made up very quickly once ryguy gets this broadsword. Well, there's the purchase for ryguy, so he is in play here, topping off since he walked through some swamp, and we'll see where he opts to try and get some early leveling done here. NESCard's now going to go complete his purchases.
And ryguy registers his first experience point of the match, a single point from the slime.
There we go. That's a much better enemy. Getting that Magidraki down, nearly one-shotting it. And then, there we go. Straight to level 2. And he's going to find out the disappointment that is coming over these first couple levels.
And he gets the dodge hurt more from the ghost. Unfortunate luck there.
Yeah, the ghost does have a little bit of a dodge chance there, and he was just looking to get that little bit extra there. It would have given him level 3, but unfortunately, sends him back to the castle instead.
He's probably not that concerned about his gold. He's probably not going to be able to afford that flame sword unless he goes for a gold grind, so the death there is not too bad.
No, not at all. The one thing I'm kind of surprised is that he hasn't bothered to try and check the basement. We know NESCard went down there, saw that rogue scorpion, has kind of decided, that enemy set's probably a little rough, and he's got decent enough equipment to start out with. So he'll revisit in a while, but ryguy has no knowledge of what it is yet.
We're not sure if that's the swamp salt or if that's the grave yet.
Yeah, correct. He was able to walk one step north and died right away, so we never got the rest of it. Here's Jerk Cave for our runners.
So Jerk in a nice convenient location, which is the east of the castle. ryguy using those Magidrakis to close the XP gap a little bit.
Yeah, temporarily joining NESCard here on level 4, though most likely the next enemy, and this Magician will do it. We'll get NESCard to 5. We'll see if we finally find some stats.
Well, the 10 power there is pretty nice. Nothing super game-changing though. Just make these really grind go a little faster.
Yeah, exactly. He can knock a few of those next level enemies a little better now. Unfortunately, that HP just not coming along at all. Another just 1, and still 0 MP gained over the first 4 level ups.
And it's actually starting to look possible, like the only way out. That might actually be Swamp South. That might be the only way out of the starting area. At least that's a possibility.
All right, NESCard is going to go ahead and take another shot at that cave down there. We'll see if we can get it quickly identified and figure out where we're going from here. Unfortunately, NESCard and this cave are just not gelling right now. One step again, and it's a golem.
Looks like we did confirm that is Swamp South.
Yeah, it looked that way to me as well. So a golem immediately back attack, DL2 breaths. Not ideal. He does have the fairy flute if he comes across one of those in the future and gets first action though.
Yeah, that could actually come into play with the start, especially if that's the only way out of the starting area. Which we may see here as NESCard's going to take a trip to the west. Can't quite see if there's a way out there. It looks like possibly north or east could get out of the starting area as well.
Yeah, he realized he can't quite make it anywhere without dying, was hoping to maybe grab a little bit of experience there, but the enemies weren't showing up, so he goes ahead and takes the death. While that's been going on, we did see Ryguy go ahead and parlay his little grind into a small experience lead here, though. So we'll see if both of them opt to start grinding or where we're going from here. We just saw NESCard pick up some gold there. I have a feeling that maybe he wants to go pick up some herbs just because they only have that one heal more in the tank and no other ability to heal.
Yeah, Ryguy gonna check out the basement. We'll see if he has any more luck than NESCard has had.
Yeah, already way more luck. He's taken multiple steps.
But unfortunately, same result, one shot by the golem. This time the golem takes a swing and takes him down for 50.
Yeah, only 20 agility on the runners right now, so those heavier in-game enemies definitely going to have first action more often than not right now. But yeah, he hasn't learned about that DL2, so we'll see if that sneaks up on him in some scenario later on.
NESCard filling up on herbs here, as you suggested he might do.
Yep, doing that. Grab that Dragon Scale since he was already down here, getting him a whole whopping extra 2 defense. And looks like he wants to push a little bit of exploration here, potentially.
Yeah, and that 2 defense can make a difference against these low-level enemies, especially when your hit points are so low and you only have 1 heal available.
No, absolutely agreed. And it looks like he's going to come down into this hill or these forest tiles down here because this will be the next zone south. Although, first enemy he finds, that red slime, not exactly what we're looking for. Yeah, these are some terrible enemies. Red slime, regular slime. On the right, though, next enemy that isn't a slime will get Ryguy level 6.
The poltergeists, which are actually the worst, actually might be the best enemy they have to fight right now, surprisingly.
Well, stats still kind of stagnant. 8-0, 2-0, and outside. The nice thing about outside, though, we're in Swamp South. He can get through the cave with no issue now.
Yeah, that looks like exactly what he's thinking right now. He's making a beeline to that cave.
So, will we get a lucky backdoor in the Garenham here, or are we just going to get dumped in the middle of a swamp mess in the middle of nowhere? Well, not quite exactly a swamp mess right away, but right on the west coast, heads north, you see a bunch of swamp, but immediately sees a stone man that sends him back, but at least he has a little bit of knowledge that nothing at least immediately available to him outside the other side.
Yeah, and it's starting to look like grinding out a couple extra levels here might be the play. At least another couple levels at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely looking like let's get some levels, let's get some grinding here. Ryguy's finally heading to the east here. He's going to come across the cave here and find his jerk, and quick dead ends over this way as well.
Thanks, by the way, to Space Colonizer for the raid. Welcome in.
Yeah, I think the issue that's facing these runners right now is they've been checking the other zones here, and we're just not getting those nice enemies they would like to see now. We're getting, at best, like drolls and poltergeists instead of those skeletons. Not even scorpions. Oh, there is some stuff over here. 2 towns. So the first town that we see Ryguy go into is Broken Airy, and we'll see what town blesses him just southwest.
And blocked by that wizard, so we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer to see what that other town is.
Yeah, I didn't say when we'd see it. We'll see it eventually, though. So NESCard opting to get this grind going, though. He's maintaining his gold right now. Tops off. Looks like he's going to take that outside and see what's outside Swamp as well immediately.
MP is still extremely low. Only 8 MP at level 6. So the only spell really is that single heal more. At least for combat purposes.
Yeah, it's been real rough. We started with 8 MP in that heal more to start and have had 5 straight 0 MP levels. Oh, that's rough. He sees a much better opponent in that Scorpion after coming out the other side. Unfortunately, gets a back attack, and that Scorpion has hurt more. Meanwhile, over on Ryguy's side, after a couple deaths there, it took a death to a Magic Wyvern on the next try down to those towns. Is out to just go ahead and try find some enemies here, maybe get level 7 and see what we can do with that.
There's that Scorpion. He managed to get a one-shot in, so that's a kind of a big deal, actually.
Yeah, they're right on that cusp of being able to one-shot them, as we saw NESCard got into the range with that 11. Unfortunately, the Scorpion for him rolled high and loves to use that hurt more, evidently.
So 3 in a row on the one-shots for Ryguy has propelled him to a slight lead here at the 18-minute mark. Still a pretty slow start.
Yeah, definitely a slow start for sure. One of these levels eventually is going to give them something to get out of here. Unfortunately, NESCard tries to push a little further, finds out the Wraith Knight has Baby Wombo with Sleep and the Baby Breath.
Ryguy continuing to have good luck with these Scorpions. That's the 4th one he's taken down. Just getting pretty close to that level 7 mark.
Exactly. So NESCard getting some good runs there, sees the town, immediately says no, but is going to verify this next town is Rim. Everyone's favorite troll. Spend 2 keys, get 1 back.
Yeah, and Rims ends up being a little bit of dud, so what looked like very promising 2 towns there, not really much help to the runners. Possibly we'll see an item like a large shield will be useful, but for right now, not much of help.
Yeah, and surprisingly, NESCard did not check either of the shops, knowing that there is a gold grind available. Opted to do neither, but did take down a nice Wolf Lord there. Unfortunately, that Wolf Lord's in a very tainted zone, but still, that's good information to have. NESCard got back attacked by this Wolf Lord, is going to go ahead and try and take it on here. He's got that heal more in reserve using his herbs, but it's still hitting pretty daggone hard. We'll see if he's able to get in there with 2 more swings. Ooh, the dodge.
Yeah, didn't quite have the damage to take it down.
And meanwhile, Ryguy still, knocking out these ghosts, these Drakkies, Scorpions over here, is 3 away from the next level, and maybe 7 will finally give these runners something with which to work with.
We found a Star Wyvern hanging out in that zone. Or maybe that's a different zone there. That's very close to the start to see a Star Wyvern though.
Yeah, that's a shame too, because he was just 3 away, just kind of maybe 1 or 2 tiles too far south, but he's going to pick it up off of possibly the next enemy. We have enough slimes running around, that's not a guarantee.
Pretty nice MP boost there. Now the runners are going to have at least 2 heal mores rather than 1, so that should make at least somewhat of a difference.
Exactly. Finally got that MP there. So what we got? We got a 3, 2, 4, but that 13 MP is very, very nice for sure. Still though, doesn't really help him out a ton, and Ryguy's getting trolled by this NPC on this bridge to the shop in Breck.
He's gonna grab some herbs himself, as well as that dragon scale for a little bit more protection. NESCard finally gonna check out the shop. And he spawns a large shield there. That's gonna help him out a little bit. At such those levels, the extra 10 defense is definitely gonna help out.
Absolutely. He'll not take quite as much damage from things such as that Wolf Lord and have potential options to kill it. We're going to see Ryguy finally make it into Remulder here and get the great news about his lack of a key after picking up an extra here. So far here, the seed's not been very nice to the runners. It has given them a little bit of options to at least get some gear going here. We just haven't found any real good zones to be able to grind in, and additionally, those spells aren't really coming in the way we would like, and just nothing nearby that's been helpful in any of the chests or anything. So we'll see what ultimately happens here. We have NESCard trying this Wolf Lord grind still, hoping to be able to make it pay off. But ultimately, you know, he's running around a 70-point deficit right now in experience.
Yeah, and gambled there and got the dodge. That almost certainly would have been enough damage to take it down if it had hit.
Yeah, that was a rough death, because yeah, he was right in that range of being able to take it out, and the Wolf Lord just was having none of it.
That does seem like a good way forward, that those Wolf Lord fights. If you can take out a couple of those, you'll be able to catch up a little bit here.
Yeah, and we got Ryguy. He's going to try and push west. We haven't been further west yet past this next swamp here because we were running out of resources before. So we're going to get into some new territory here on Ryguy's side. That's a little rough too. He gets through there, spends all his resources. Doesn't quite confirm if that's a dead end down there, but looking likely that there is absolutely nothing to the west either, which will then I think that leaves us just through Swamp Cave at this point.
Yeah, this main continent actually looking pretty confined. Even though there's a lot of stuff on this continent, there's nothing really, no really key items here. Just a few small upgrades.
Yeah, and on Ryguy's side, you can see he kind of started walking back and forth in the desert there, then opted to start walking south. Seems like he's just not quite sure. He knows he wants levels, just not quite sure where he wants to go to get it.
It looks like NESCard has given up on the Wolf Lord hunting, at least for this level.
Yeah, agreed. The runners kind of giving themselves some high fives, saying hello to each other in these woods over here as they grind on that same fairly terrible zone.
Looks like NESCard might be dropping a few frames here.
Yeah, there we go. He's looking a little more consistent there. With this Poltergeist, if he's able to take it out, will finally join Ryguy on level 7, but honestly, he's not very far behind at all.
Yeah, for sure. This is still really close. That small XP advantage is not very much at all.
Oh, this is disgusting. The last little area that we hadn't checked that I had mapped out, Ryguy heads north, finds a red dragon with sleep and hurt more.
One police strike again, and that may be a block to that upper area there.
Yeah, that's definitely not something you want to see on a red dragon asleep, regardless of what our stats ultimately end up being. So we'll kind of like put that in the memory banks there. Ryguy will definitely know that he doesn't want to mess around with those guys, or at minimum, wait till he gets stop spell and see how that works. Red dragons can have up to 9 out of 16 resist the stop spell.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that can make for a nightmare Sherlock dive later on.
Well, both of them going through swamp. Same thoughts here, although this pathway is looking fairly narrow and dead ends right away there, unless there's something straight north. everything is going to be on the first continent, and looks like we'll have to be funneled through that red dragon zone. Oh, there we go. Oh, nope. It is a tiny swamp continent. So, everything's on the first continent, and yeah, they got to go through that red dragon zone through a bunch of swamp to get there. This is kind of disgusting.
Yeah, it originally looked like the main continent would be a small one, and the second continent might be the way to go, but it's turning out to be the other way around. The second continent is tiny, and the main continent looks like that northwest passage is going to be the way forward.
Yeah, this race is, at this point, they have exact same knowledge. So this race is truly going to come down to who can figure out what to grind to get some levels to where they can get out of jail. And then from there it's exploration, but it looks like both of them are settling in to at least try and get level 8. Unfortunately, just what this enemy said, it's going to take a moment to get there. 600 experience needed for level 8.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what really the best enemy even to fight right now is.
Well, this Wraith isn't terrible for NESCard, especially with his little extra defense that he's got. It's in a nasty zone with other enemies you definitely don't want to be messing around with, especially at 22 agility, but he's going to get him a quick 42 pickup there on that experience.
Yeah, if you could get that Wraith in a safe zone, I think that would be the play, but I'm not sure if that's the case, especially if that Wraith is in a zone that's all swamp.
Yeah, it seems to be all swamped, and it had rogue scorpions in it.
And the Fun Police continuing to block that north passage.
Yeah, unfortunately for NESCard there, he doesn't get the knowledge of the sleep or hurt more. Just got a quick bite more from the red dragon, so he's going to be, I won't say pleasantly surprised, but he's going to be a little surprised when he finds out about that later on. And if you think red dragons are a nightmare when you get over to that only path that we can go, you still gotta get through the rogue scorpions, the knights, and a bunch of swamp just to get over there. So NESCard's getting some more money here. He's going to get his keys top back off. Looks like he's probably going to go back into coal to re-herb up. Man, just stats are terrible. Agility is just absolutely garbage. They're not going to have any luck running from about anything that can kill them, at least at this point. So, but no, maybe he didn't quite get full edge exploration up here, so he's going to complete the rest of this. Or saw that scorpion and wants to give it a shot. Well, let's see how the zone plays out. Druin's not exactly great, but with what we've seen right now, I think either runner would be taking some Druins. Druins and Scorpions in the zone so far, while ryguy is creeping up on level 8. So close, 31 away.
Yeah, usually Druid not the enemy you're looking for, but in this seed, it's not all that bad, especially when you have Drakimas and Scorpions in the same zone. Not too bad. Especially with this seed, where we're not seeing a lot of quality enemies.
No, this zone's actually panning out really well. Druins, Scorpions, Drakimas. We know the Scorpion's a little scary, but as long as you get first action, you don't have to worry about their hurt more. And other than that, the Drew and the Drakima seem to be just straight attack. Not so sure about that level 8. 8 strength, 4 agility, 0 hit points, 3 magic. Did get the spell of hurt, but I don't know how helpful that is at this point.
Yeah, if there was a high defense enemy that they could fight, like a metal scorpion, that might be useful. But I'm not sure about with this enemy set if that is really going to help them all that much.
And don't look now, but that Stone Man showed up on NESCard's side, so that might be in that same zone he was just grinding, because he does not opt to go back through after running into the Stone Man. That Stone Man's definitely something well beyond what we can deal with at this time. So buckle in, chat. We've got high fives galore happening right now as both grind that same little set of desert here on these terrible enemies. Unfortunately, at minimum here at this point, Ryguy is going to be going for level 9. Level 9 coming in at 975 experience. So we're going to be here another few minutes. All right, so NESCard's going to join Ryguy, find out the wonderful news about you're not going anywhere. We'll see if he opts to stay and continue to grind, or if he's going to try and push. Looks like he's going to try and push.
Finds another one of those wraiths, which is a nice find. Top off another 42 XP there.
Man, that is just rough though. Yeah, that Wraith definitely decent, but just in a very tainted zone that is going to have enemies that are going to back attack you more often than not still at this point. Plus, you're already taking damage tile over tile, so never had a chance to top off before that Wraith or that Knight came in and back attacked you.
Yeah, I mean, you'll take it on the way through, but unless you can find like a corner of the zone that you can look for it, which doesn't even look like it's there. Maybe that forest down there possibly, but I don't think that's a great place to farm.
Yeah, the forest grind is definitely a desperation zone, desperation play. Well, he's not even gonna. Okay, here he goes. I was gonna say he wasn't even gonna check that. He was gonna go back and forth for a moment. So here he goes. Sees the Badger Draki, knows that the Wraith is in here, so he's got at least 2 enemies he's willing to take swings at.
Well, it looks like he has located a safe spot to do this grind potentially.
Yeah, he's got a 2 tiles forest tile set that he can get here. He's got a couple Heomores in the tank that he can utilize. He's just got to deal with this.
Yeah, and that's the problem. This Rogue Scorpion is gonna hit pretty hard. Although maybe you could take it out. It does have hurt.
Yeah, that hurt kind of helps a little bit, dependent if it doesn't have a heal on the back end. Gets it down. So that quickly, we're to a 36 experience deficit right now. He's going to top off, and I have a strong feeling he's going to be right back in that zone.
Yeah, that's a big deal that he's able to take down that Rogue Scorpion. The Rogue Scorpion having the hurt spell, I think, makes that a lot more doable. Although he is going to have to stock up on herbs to make that a possibility with his current stats.
Here we go, though. We got Ryguy continuing his slaughter of drolls and running from slimes. Unfortunately, blue and red slimes in that zone has caused him to have to run a lot. But drolls and poltergeists going down when possible. And we're creeping towards that level. We're probably a couple minutes away, give or take, depending on how the luck goes.
Yeah, NESCard getting the big chunks of experience from the Wraiths and Rogue Scorpions, while Ryguy with the slow, steady grind with the Drolls and the Poltergeists.
Yeah, and you see that. He goes out, takes out that Rogue Scorpion, immediately comes right back in the coal, and is going to top right back off, get his little limited resources back, and rinse and repeat at this point.
And the Knight, the one enemy he doesn't want to see in this zone.
Absolutely correct. Does manage to get away, and actually there's Drakima's hiding down here too. That's not a bad enemy for where we're at.
Magic Drapies are okay here. You'll take a swing at that.
So at least temporarily, we have NESCard taking the experience lead back briefly before Ryguy finds another Droll. It's gonna be a race to level 9 and further disappointment, I feel.
Yeah, they're basically even at this point.
Yeah, this has been interesting to watch. We have NESCard taking on higher tier enemies that several runners possibly wouldn't even see as an option. Unfortunately, gets high rolled by the Rogue Scorpion and sent back, but had been kind of maintaining right there with Ryguy, while Ryguy's just taking the nickel and dime enemies here. Next Droll, if he gets one, will get him a level. And he picked off that red slime, so now this Poltergeist will do it. One-shots it, and we're about to see level 9. So, another 8 strength, 5 agility, 1 hit point, 1 magic. We did get 3 spells with Radiant Stop spell and Repel.
Yeah, none of those spells really going to make a huge difference. I don't remember any enemies that are fightable right now that Stop spell is going to do much good against.
Yeah, this is, man, that's just really not fun. Definitely not fun. At level 9, we have 31 agility, 35 hit points, and 25 magic. Well, Ryguy, leaving the desert there, he has finally said enough is enough. Is going to take his big 35 down here, see if he can, ooh, yeah, I was going to say, he's going to get hit way too hard there. See if he can pick him up a large shield.
Does get the large shield, that's going to be a nice little defense boost there for him.
Exactly. So now the minor equipment advantage that Ness had has been neutralized. NESCard getting to level 9. he's going to get those same stats, wondering where everything's at. And we'll see what he opts to do here. If he wants to try and find a different zone, or he's gotten into a little bit of a rhythm on these enemies down here now. It might not be, a bad time staying down this way. Well, with that extra strength, that NESCard realizing he can get some damage off on him. We've seen a 10 and an 8 on that Rogue Scorpion so far. Ryguy heading north. Stop walking back and forth. Get out of that zone. So we're finally seeing a little bit more map here. And immediately, a Demon Knight.
Yeah, not a very friendly zone up there. Still blocking both of our runners off to the rest of the map.
Yeah, 31 agility, that Demon Knight's a little rough to run from for sure. Yeah, I can only assume where that guy was kind of weaving and wobbling through that zone up there. Just he was trying to dip, dodge, and dive all them red dragons. It worked out. Unfortunately, Demon Knight, no bueno.
And Ryguy here seeing the Wraith, and I think this might be the first Wraith he has seen in the seed.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I've seen one over on his side as of yet, so yeah, we'll see what he decides about this zone or not. Not sure if he's recognizing that while not free, Rogue Scorpions do also have a chance to go down, but picks up a crit and takes it out.
Dodges a hurt more there from the Scorpion and is able to take it out.
Alright, so Ryguy, he's like, hey, I liked a couple of these things. Let me see what we can run into here. And is starting to go back and forth.
Yeah, and that looks like a different zone that he's found with the Magician over there.
Yeah, I think he's walked just far enough north to where he's in that zone that's just west of Zone 0. Oh, he recognizes that, realizes, hey, wait a minute, I shouldn't be getting Magicians and Drakis here, and heads down to that same 2-tile strip.
Yeah, I think Ziggy's exactly right. I think that is Zone 1 over there.
So here we go. We got Wraiths going down on both screens. We got NESCard with approximately 100 experience point lead, and no one with any real advantage over the other at this point.
And they both found the same little 2-tile grind area in the forest over here, surrounded by swamp.
Yeah, this is amazing. I guess desperation leads to trying everything, because I think most runners would just automatically opt to go past this constantly. It just took getting those few encounters in the swamp, realizing, hey, there's some stuff I can kill here before giving it a shot.
Yeah, I think it's a testament of how experienced both of these runners are to be able to recognize that little zone is the most optimal place to grind.
Yeah, it's very, very good at this point, because we have literally found nothing else that is worthwhile at this time. So they're both going to be taking some death warps here. Ryguy does find out about the hurt on the Rogue Scorpion. We'll see if that puts him into definitely wanting to fight them next time he runs into one. So what are we looking for here at this point that is going to set these runners free, so to speak? There's so many things they're lacking at this time that any number of combinations of stats, or even like a hurt more, could really open this up for them.
I would say either a big HP gain or hurt more would be the two big things that could open up exploration a bit.
Yeah, it's hurt more, and then honestly, still getting lucky going through that swamp or that zone to the north there, where they have to be able to get out onto this overworld. That combination, because that red dragon zone, we definitely don't want to be hanging out too long in there.
Yeah, Beta's saying maybe a HP plus sleep would give you a shot against some Magiwirons.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that as well. NESCard taking the long route around this time. This might, he's definitely shooting for a record for maybe most visits to the coal shop that I've ever seen.
Yeah, this is not a shop you typically visit, but this is not a typical seed.
Yeah, so this top off for NESCard here is going to put him in a good position to, barring bad luck, to most likely be able to pick up this next level here. He's only got 150 to go. We need to get the 1500 experience for level 10. So he's got a real decent chance at picking it up here. We'll see if he can get the luck on his side and maybe find some kind of breakthrough level at level 10 here.
They're going to continue to grind this out at least to level 10. NESCard with the tiny advantage in XP right now.
Yeah, exactly. So let's take a moment and, especially since we're almost an hour in and really haven't gotten a lot accomplished here, let's just kind of recap for those that might have gotten in late. Both runners started out with 8 strength, 26 hit points and heal more. As you can see, we've gained 9 hit points over 8 levels since then, so terrible stat gains overall. We've not seen a ton of the map, but have seen multiple locations. We know where we started double key and gold, so we've had keys the entire time. We know the basement's south swamp leads to swamp north, which is absolutely a dud island. To the east, we have the Rainbow Drop Cave, affectionately known as the Jerk. South of that, we had Rimalder and Brecconary, which both didn't really help out much. And then we have Cole just north here that we keep passing that had a fairy flute in it. That is all we have seen outside of lots of deaths and lots of grinds that no one would wish on their worst enemies.
And 52.5 minutes in, the runners are dead even with 1,430 experience apiece. And exactly the same exploration gear.
This is absolutely amazing. Just absolutely amazing. 53 minutes and 1,430 experience on the nose with everything equal in knowledge. Well, if NESCard can take this out, he'll perfect bid level 10. We'll see how fast Ryguy's able to catch up with him here as well. He's been getting the smaller enemies over here so far. Well, 13 power, 8 agility, 7 hit points, 0 magic, and the spell of sleep.
Nice stats, and sleep potentially something that could open some things up.
Exactly. He's got more enemies that are potentials. The big issue still resolves in that he's we're still really low on HP. Not great defense at this point, but if something goes to sleep and you can swing through it, we can start seeing some good experience gains here.
I mean, this potentially opens up going after knights. I mean, there are 3 of 8 sleep resists. That's a little bit risky. But at least you don't have to automatically run from them now. It's a possibility.
Exactly. So we'll see what he opts to do here. If he's we've seen a couple zones that might be tempting. He is going to walk back to the east here, so we'll see if he can get down into this Magic Wyvern Wraith Knight zone, kind of dodge around the wizards. That's the main thing in that zone. Oh, we have knights over here as well. Yeah, he's trying to hope this knight baits with a low attack, and instead it keeps returning with bigger and bigger attacks. Kind of surprised he didn't try to do a sleep strat here on it. Does get it taken down for the big 78 there. As we see Ryguy get his level 10, we'll see where he opts to go next.
Yeah, that zone over there looks a little bit promising now. We also just saw Wolflord over there in that zone, which I think he can probably take out at this point as well.
No, absolutely. Wolflords would be fantastic pickups right now. If we get them to stay asleep, that Magic Wyvern would be great. The Knights, you know, they're not the easiest to sleep, but still resist or still able to be slept, and then they're nice if you can get them down. Unfortunately, Ryguy trying to head north, get back out of that area, finds another red dragon, gets sent right back home. Yeah, NESCard heads back over, sees that knight, gets first action, opts to still not try any sleep strats on it, was within range of being able to kill it. Unfortunately, rolled a little lower on his attack, while the knight maybe a little higher on his HP, and didn't get the payoff there.
Yeah, you saw him think about it for a couple seconds before swinging, and that turned out to be what killed him there. He thinking about holding on to another hurt more. Or another heal more, I mean.
Exactly. So now we have Ryguy down here. He is going to definitely be employing sleep strats. He just took out a Wolflord, gets a bad luck sleep attempt on this Magic Wyvern here, but yeah, should get it on the second one. There he goes. Oh my gosh, that is brutal. Covered a ton of the HP range, and it wakes up and sends him packing with a 24 damage, just one over what he had remaining. So I've seen a few notes in chat about bracket implications and such, so we'll kind of revisit that real small because we're down to just a couple races left in this slime group here. NESCard is safe and in the brackets regardless of the results of any of the races. It's just for him, it's about seeding. But if Ryguy manages to pull this off, Ryguy would be our #1 seed in this bracket. Bob Pineapple would come out #2 with NESCard being the 3. If NESCard wins, it depends on the result of the Bob Pineapple race. So if NESCard and both Bob win, those seeds will be locked with Bob Pineapple's #1, NESCard at #2, and Ziggy just spoke in chat at the #3. And then if NESCard wins but Bob Pineapple loses, NESCard gets the 1 seed, and then there's a 3-way tiebreaker race between Ryguy, Bob, and Ziggy to determine seeds 2 and 3. So still multiple options here. And since we don't have a clear leader in this race yet, this is still very interesting. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, NESCard has opened up about a 200 XP lead. Nothing major, but any little advantage right now is looking larger than it normally would.
Agreed, and I'll say the only thing that has truly been different between the two runners is NESCard has been very prolific in buying herbs and keeping those herbs in play to supplement his limited heal mores, where we have definitely not seen that from Ryguy at all. All right, NESCard gets down another Magic Wyvern here. Yeah, continuing that XP advantage.
Yeah, that's an extremely valuable enemy at this point in the seed, so you can get a few more of those, you can possibly slingshot into a more substantial lead here.
Yeah, at this point, it's all in the luck on encounters. Are you getting back attacked? Are things staying asleep for you versus waking up every time? And then ultimately getting them down. As we see over here, Ryguy blocks the sleep that the Wraith Knight has, is still getting that baby breath done, and then does ultimately finally get it down. But it was a tricky battle there. So here's another difference I've been watching here. So with those herbs, NESCard, knowing that he has decent enough defense and high chances at double shotting the Wolf Lord, is opting not to sleep strat them at all. He's taking a nominal hit afterwards, and then what he'll do is after the 2-shot, he's using the herb to supplement. He's not wasted a single drop of MP, and is able to continue on his grind, and where we just saw Ryguy definitely drop the sleep first prior to doing so, and it's definitely, even when it's going well for him, is having to refill much more frequently.
Yeah, that's a good observation. It doesn't look like that sleep is actually necessary for the Wolf Lords with their current stats.
Oh, that's another brutal fight. He had a clear, you swing, you hit, you kill it. Ops the swing, and the Magic Wyvern dodges, and just like that, takes a quick death. But we got NESCard closing in pretty quickly here on level 11. Our next level is at 2175. We'll see if Ryguy can get into a rhythm here and kind of close that XP lead slightly.
We're looking at 2175, the magic number for level 11. NESCard closing in on that. Ryguy a little bit behind, but still in it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We still have so much map. Probably around 70% of this map is unexplored at this point. So even a minor level up that gives a little bit of an advantage here, if 11 does finally give us something to work with, will be minimal compared to exploration luck that these runners are going to need. Especially since we've had 3 towns and a cave so close to start. That means there's a high chance that all that other stuff is just a little bit more spread out than we would like.
Yeah, we've actually seen a lot of towns considering how little bit of the map we've seen so far, so it's hard to tell what's out there.
All right, NESCard getting top back off on his herbs here again after coming back down to the area. He's a Magic Wyvern away from the next level. I believe he's right on that cusp.
Ryguy gets Magic Wyvern down and then immediately gets ambushed by the wizard.
Yeah, that's exactly how this game is. So NESCard, after taking a couple nasty swings and misses, deaths, opts to be a little safe, sleeps it, gets the herb, does get the level though here. We're getting another 14 power, 18 agility, 7 hit points, 5 magic, no spells.
Yeah, no spells, but some nice stats there, especially the attack power, and that defense is going to help as well against the Magic Wyverns.
Yeah, and agreed. We're definitely really starting to rock that glass cannon trope here, because 49 HP at level 11 is pretty garbage.
Yeah, pretty trolly to get heal more right off the bat, but no HP even at level 11. We're still really low on HP.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. The one nice thing from that big strength gain here is NESCard is most likely to two-shot these Magic Wyverns now, which makes them a lot less scary as long as, you know, they don't dodge you. And just like that, you know, we just saw a one-shot Wolflord for him, so not even having to waste the time to even herb afterwards, let alone worry about a sleep or anything. So Ryguy is steadily getting there right now, though, so he shouldn't be too terribly far behind on this level. Yeah, question in chat, what's the next level? Yeah, 3,000 experience for the next level, so exactly 600 away for NESCard. So it'll be a few minutes here. I kind of like the play with him going ahead and opting to continue this grind, though. Knowing and recognizing that 49 HP is not very good, and then even if it was tolerable, 30 MP on the back end to be able to spread your heal more, because you don't even have heal, is not going to really work out well for you.
Nice two-shot on a knight there for NESCard. You may feel like this one's actually a little better with the Wraith Knights and the regular Knights.
Yeah, both of them are definitely in play. I think, honestly, even though the Magic Wyvern has slightly higher experience, he's opting for this zone probably mainly to stay away from those wizards, which at 57 agility he has decent odds to run from now, but as we saw a few moments ago, oh no, they're up here as well. Okay, so just enough HP and defense to where we're taking on the wizard. Okay, that makes more sense on why he moved up here then. Much better overall experience gains.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if the wizards were gettable in this stat range, and it looks like they are, at least some of the time. So that's a nice chunk of XP, 120 at this point.
Yeah, and as a result, we see how quickly this next level has been going with that added strength here. He is plowing through these enemies at a rapid pace, 252 experience away from the next level. Alright, Ryguy says enough is enough. He's going to be heading off to the west and see if he can push that expiration again finally.
Nice crit there, and NESCard just 2 wizards away from level 12. Ryguy gets a run from a red.
You gotta love it. I'm shocked he didn't try the stop spell. I'm pretty sure it's been a while now. I'm thinking it was him that was the one that saw the stats from or the specials from the Red Dragon earlier.
Okay, he's got past of that zone of death. Seeing a nice enemy here with a regular Wyvern.
Absolutely. So, and now coupled with that 57 agility, much higher odds to be able to run away from stuff, although this blue dragon's not an enemy you're wanting to find right now.
Does get away, immediately attacked by a wizard.
Yeah, that's just terrible right there. Lots of encounters back to back. Ran out of completely out of resources. He even had no herbs left. Now he's doing a double take on his stats. Just like, what the heck is happening here? But with this wizard, as long as NESCard gets it down, he's gonna get level 12. Well then, that was a level. The game said, hey, we gave you a lot of strength and agility the last couple levels, so here's a couple zeros and not much else.
Yeah, that wasn't exactly what it was looking for.
I mean, I guess 30 to 40 on the MP, so we got a nice 33% increase, but outside of that, yeah, absolutely just a terrible level. Not even like hey, you know what, I feel bad, here's a Hurt More spell. It's like, nah, Hurt More's at least level 13 or higher. So level 13, 4125 needed. So we got a little bit there, and it looks like he's going right back to this grind, which, honestly, I don't say I blame him.
Well, Ryguy has located a cave. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a lot of resources to dig it out. He's going to take on this wyvern.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised when he was... I know Cole's not ideal, but he did not opt to go, like, get herbs or anything, which would definitely prolong his exploration. But here we go. We got the grave. So we'll see if he can make it to these top 3 chests. Question in chat, is it theoretically possible to get quad zeros? Absolutely, I've seen it happen twice. The only thing it'll show is you got 0 HP. It's absolutely hilarious. Yeah, oh man, that Star Wyvern taking him out. Surprisingly, High Spirits was in both those races. One of them, I was in a race with him.
Yeah, not quite getting to those chests. He could have gotten a gold grand there if he had made it to the chests and picked up that flame sword, potentially.
Yeah, flame sword and magic armor are both available, as long as he's checked both those shops. But yeah, I think he needs to get these herbs. Herbs would do a world of good if he's going to keep pushing this exploration just to extend. Because right now, he's got 3 heal mores, and he's using, at minimum, 1 to get through the swamps. So, he needs some herbs to back that up, or otherwise sit down and do this grind. Because, real quickly, NESCard is pulling away at a monster rate just over 1,000 experience point lead right now.
Yeah, Ryguy is gonna need to get something back from this extra exploration he's doing if he's gonna cover that gap.
Right there, he tried to run, seized the sleep. I would love to see him try and throw that stop spell down, because, to be quite honest, Oh, right there, trying to throw the stop spell, Ryguy, please. Because, you know, it is attacking periodically, but... So I'm going to guess probably 50% hurt more at best, but still, you got decent enough attack power. You might get lucky and get through it. Much better odds at it than running, in my opinion.
Would this be even a situation where you might even try to take down a red dragon? If you can get a stop spell on it?
Oh, I would absolutely give it a shot, 100% right now. If I got that stop spell off prior to it hitting me whatsoever or doing anything, I am giving it the old college try for sure.
Yeah, and to answer Ratlif's question, there is a gold grind available in the treasury, so if he's able to get those chests in the grave, he could enable that gold grind, and I believe we've got a flame sword and a magic armor available.
Yep, flame sword and magic armor, I believe it's in 2 separate shops, but at this point, you know, you just hit save because while it's not 100% free, you're most likely to get there safely. All right, here we go. We got Grave round 2. If he can't start talking too early. If he can make it inside. So we got a gold herb and the silver harp in the top here. So the first homework item has been found, and it looks like Ryguy's immediately going to try and dive this. I can't say I exactly blame him. We really haven't seen a lot. Makes a note of his key count right now, although it's not a huge deal if they run out because Rim is just around the corner. But we'll see if he can make it down to these chests 4 and 5 and find anything that might help further. Armor would be gigantic right now.
Yeah, in worst case, he's now activated a gold grind, so that is, he at least has that in the bank for him. And he picks up the second story item in this cave, Stone to Sunlight. So
yeah,
0 advantage on plot items.
Yeah, it's pretty big. You know, Grave coming up big on being required, I'll say. And it'll be interesting. I don't know, especially since it's going to be in one of the earlier caves, if NESCard will opt to immediately dive like we saw Ryguy do once he does finally push out, or if, you know, he skips past that initially.
I have to think he's going to dive it as soon as he sees it, assuming he has the resources to do it.
Yeah, this has been rough for Ryguy, running a lot of nasty enemies, but on NESCard's side, we got 5 power, 9 agility, 6 hit points, 4 magic, no spells.
Okay, and I gotta think we're gonna see a death warp and a gold grind here for Ryguy.
Yeah, I'd say that would be the smart play for him at this point. If you couldn't get the gear advantage coming in here, at least get the gear advantage coming out of here. So we'll see what he opts to do. He's using that last 2 to at least try and take out this Magic Wyvern, which isn't a bad play. It's getting in that just that much closer to that level 12.
And NESCard has actually scraped up enough gold to grab the full plate.
Yeah, it's a big defensive power up there. Gives the same defense as the magic armor, so if Ryguy does opt to do a gold grind, he won't have, at least from a defense point perspective, any advantage. Yeah, Ryguy very smartly, having checked those keys when he was in grave, recognized he was down to 1, so makes the play to come around here and open this up first and buy more keys before going to the treasury directly. Just saves him a little extra harassment later if, you know, he's having to deal with multiple attempts to get down that area. Well then, I guess Ryguy does not want to do a gold grind. That's... I'll be honest, I'm a little perplexed by that. Chainmail to magic armor would be pretty decent. I don't know, maybe he's seeking other things, or again, maybe he hasn't checked all those shops.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by that. Maybe he didn't feel like the upgrades were enough to justify the time spent on the gold grind.
Alright, well we saw Grave just off to his west there as he's pushing north here, so he is clearly wanting to press some exploration here at this point. And we'll see if he can locate some of these other areas that, there we go, Big C.
Yep, Sherlock discovered, not all that far from the start.
Yeah, meanwhile, on the other side, if Ness is able to get away from this werewolf, which has her, he will also come across the grave. Alright, NESCard picking up his top 3 chests here. Gonna get that harp. And looks like he's immediately heading towards the dive, so.
And you see this experience advantage maybe for NESCard being able to navigate the cave in the dark, saving that 2 points of MP.
Yeah, Grave, especially Deep Grave, one of the hardest things to do in the dark, to be quite honest, just because most other caves you can kind of bonk your way through, but all the stairs are kind of inwards on this one, so knowing exact counts to be able to pull off those stair moves like that are pretty daggone insane, in my opinion.
People have got Ryguy finding Mountain Cave. Unfortunately, he's got 0 MP, so he's gonna have to run from some of these enemies.
Exactly, yeah, he saw that, he wanted that so badly. He's 5 away from the next level, but unfortunately has to run. Finds a fairy water in the first chest. Yeah, NESCard making that fantastic walk down to chest 4, picking up his stones, so now exploration advantage outside of knowledge of where Mountain and Sherlock are is back to even. Alright, next chest in Mountain. Ryguy finds the herb. 3 chests to go down here. We'll see if this pays off with anything at all. Wings in the 3rd chest. Absolutely do not care about those. Chest 4 going to bring us some gold. So 1 chest left, or otherwise Mountain will be a bust.
A whole lot of nothing in the mountain cave.
Yeah, a double CD of Paul McCartney's Wings. Oh, that's disgusting. What a terrible mountain cave, by the way. Like, just absolutely terrible. And based on that ARP usage, it does look like Ryguy wants to stay alive and get out of here. We'll see if he's successful in doing it. I was going to say, we do know there's murder golems running around here, although they are more likely to be able to get away from him now.
We'll see if NESCard actually opts to go for the gold grind.
And that's what I was going to say. And I'll be honest, I have a feeling that he probably will. It's really not that long. He knows exactly what's there. And just the extra advantage, especially not having any heal walking at all, compared to, even if it is just 1 HP every 4 steps that Magic Armor will give over this full plate, is, I think, definitely worth it. With that low MP and no base heal at this point, that's going to be so helpful for him.
Yeah, that's a really good point. With the heal would be very welcome, because it only costs 3 MP as opposed to the 8 that Healmore does. Be much more efficient with such a low HP count.
Exactly, and then on Ryguy's side, he does get that walk out. Manages to make it out of the mountain, doesn't make it very far, runs into a green dragon, and just ultimately takes a death. So, any thoughts? I think at this point, any thoughts of a gold grind have gone completely out, and he is going to put all of his faith into trying to get exploration advantage here. Yeah, I am kind of curious on NESCard's grind here. We do know that there was a flame sword and magic armor running around. Do not believe we saw a silver shield in any of the 3 towns, but it does look like he is grinding that amount.
Yeah, this is interesting. I don't like you said. I don't think we found the silver shield yet anywhere. So it's kind of surprising he went for that much gold. But maybe he thinks he can make it out to some place where there's a silver shield available.
I mean, that's very fair. And I mean, he has 66 agility. As we see, that stat is in the orange. He's practically a favorite to run from everything minus the armor knights and red dragons at this point. Although, you know, based on seeing Ryguy's runs especially, we do know that there are quite frequent red dragon encounters in that zone that he's going to have to walk through eventually. So, NESCard, I think, has only seen the one so far. And there we go, Flame Sword out of Cole, up number 1. He's going to go east and pick up his magic armor. Don't remember which shop it was, but he knows, and that's all that really matters. Ooh, Ryguy pushing exploration kind of west of where Grave was this time. Runs into another green dragon and again just cannot get away from it. Takes another death here. Nest does come into Rim, so maybe Rim had a silver shield and we just missed the check on this shop. Yeah, I was going to say, I do remember... in fact, Beta just typed it again. I was going to say, I do remember Beta saying the rim shop was garbage earlier, so he just had never checked that possibly, and maybe we only saw it on Ryguy's side. But anyway, he's got that golden hand, still very well geared out for where we're at. That HP MP still lagging here. We'll see what he decides to do here. He is very close to level 14, which is at 5625. And level 14 could finally maybe give us some of those stats that we've been missing.
If all things considered, that's not really that big of an upgrade. He only gained an extra 8 attack power and 0 defense. He does get the heal walk from the magic armor.
And again, Ryguy over here, trying to head back north, runs into that red dragon, and just tries to run. Does not try the stop spell whatsoever. I'm very, very curious about that one. While we see NESCard has found the Armor Knight, which is definitely not ideal right now.
Yeah, just not quite enough HP to take this on.
Oh, and finally gets away from it. And right as he gets away from it, Ryguy finds his own friendly Armor Knight.
And he's gonna find a dead end over here. I believe Ryguy explored that area earlier. I'm not sure if NESCard saw it.
Yeah, unfortunately for NESCard, he didn't get to the Cave of Wings, so he has no way to get out of here at all. There's no way to heal, and certain death ahead.
Yeah, and unfortunately he's not going to be able to hang on to that gold.
Exactly. I think he was looking for about any way out here. His only option would have been to walk for literally ever to try and heal walk up enough HP, or find the enemies that he could kill without being killed to get the level 14 and just hope that it had a heal spell because he still had the 4 MP left.
Alright, checking the spike, finding the golem. This is interesting. He does have the fairy flute.
Yeah, the golem could potentially be okay. The problem is, at 52 HP and no Erdrick's armor, if it wakes up and wants the Dragon Lord to breath you, you're instantly dead regardless.
Yeah, he elects to think better of that and nope out of there. Probably the smart play. And Ryguy checking the second continent just to make sure that he didn't miss anything, but we know that there's no way forward on that side.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, Ryguy really just trying to figure out what he's wanting to do at this point. I think he just reached that point where he was just not going to be able to continue with the grind. And for those that know Ryguy or have watched the stream, you can only imagine the things that I'm sure he's saying right now and has been. But with that in mind, NESCard's finally starting to catch up on some of that additional exploration. He's checking to the west. Ultimately, Mountain and Charlotte that he's missing is north and east of this location, but neither of those are really important as we found, at least not yet.
Yeah, it definitely seems at this point that NESCard has opened up a pretty significant advantage. He's ahead by around 2,000 XP. Just shy of that.
Oh, and then gets the nice, excellent move on this wizard. It's going to leave him 31 shy, or 6 shy of the level. My bad.
Yeah, the only really advantage that Ryguy has right now is the knowledge that there's nothing in Mountain Cave.
Exactly. And level 14 coming with a 2-9-2-9. No spell.
the game being very stingy with the baby heal and the hurt more for the seed.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we see, NESCard's pushed quite a ways here west of where Grave was and has come across another cave. At this point, we're looking at what? Let's take a look. We haven't found Freebie Cave. We haven't found Tablet. We do... have we seen either of the trade-ins either? I don't believe so.
We have seen Jerk. I believe it was in the basement.
That's right. No, it's just northeast.
Or no, Swamp is in the basement. Northeast is the Jerk. That's right.
But we find Tablet here. While on the other side, we see Ryguy finding and immediately leaving Hawksnest, has his own cave down here, which is where we can pick up a Staff of Rain. Well, that's pretty big. NESCard gets to the end of Tablet Cave, and it has the token. Alright, so this is going to be interesting. NESCard's got all three of the main items needed. We've seen where the initial turn-in is that is right outside of Hawksnest, so that's picking up your staff in exchange for the harp, and additionally checking one of those few items that's left out there. The additional places we have left, 3 checks in the back of Garenham. We do still have possible coordinates running around as well, since we haven't found Cantlin yet. So there is still hope for our Erdrick's here to be outside of Sharlock. And we'll see if they get lucky with that. The problem for NESCard now is he's running out of area, he's out of resources, and he's in a dead end. So not where we need to be for the rest of the places.
Yeah, he does get the knowledge that that's a dead end, which is nice to know before he's almost certainly going to take a death here. Although he's having some success running away.
Yeah, he must know that he's, because NESCard does very detailed maps, so he must know that he's got something nearby that he's still wanting to, shore up the edges on, or potentially feels that a town could be hiding in. Speaking of which, right around the corner here, we have one of our missing towns, which Cantlin, and it's Garenham.
Yeah, and I believe this has to be Freebie in the basement, correct?
Yep, absolutely. We've, after you refresh my mind on the Jerk Cave, we have seen all the other caves, so we will get 4 quick checks on chests here momentarily. And NESCard checking to see if there's a silver shield here, although he is a little shy, and there is.
Okay, it looks like Ryguy is making a beeline back to Hawksnest to try to get there with some resources.
Yeah, at this point, if there's something there, we know that it's going to be something we want. That's for sure. Because the only 2 things outstanding are both pieces of Erdrick's gear. While in the back of Garenham, NESCard so far finds Torch, and some gold, with 1 check to go in the basement.
I think there was a belt there, or spell. Oh, he threw away the belt. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, so NESCard's down to locating that Hawksness staff cave location, and additionally wherever Cantlin is hiding from us. Well, we got a town over on Ryguy's side out in the desert. Does not look accessible from where he's at. And being out of resources and getting a swing and a miss, he opts to just go ahead and take a death warp off of that knight and reset. So, unfortunately, just things not panning out real well for Ryguy here. As we see NESCard just continue to build that lead. If he's able to get this werewolf, we'll put him about 2,500 experience into the net positive for him. So there's a lot of talks about maps in the chat and such, but for Math Girl saying how, like, because that happens to me all the time, how do I indicate to the connect if it comes one continent? Where my line ends, on one side I draw a blue portal, and then on the other side where I've started my other continent, I draw an orange portal, and now I know that I can go through that line to continue my map. But in all seriousness, and I don't do that, by the way. In all seriousness, NESCard more than halfway on the way to level 15. 7,500 experience needed for 15, and thank you for posting that as well. Yeah, 16 up to 9,750 from there.
Okay, NESCard locating Mountain Cave. We already know there's nothing in here, but he's gonna check it and probably knock it out pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Okay enemies as long as he stays away from finding golems. And other than that, yeah, he's going to get quick knowledge that there is just nothing really here worthwhile at all. And at least have this out of, his mind. If there's 5 overworld checks in the mountain cave, even after he finds those other locations and he's short armor or sword, that's probably waiting in the back of your mind otherwise.
And Ryguy runs into another red dragon, sending him back home.
Yeah, so far, question, how many cursed belts have we seen? I know we saw one for sure in the treasury. I missed what chest 5 and grave was, but based on no reaction from chat, I assumed it was trash. Alright, so it was a belt. So yeah, we've seen 2 cursed belts then so far.
So at least one of the big items are going to be in the remaining 2 search spots, possibly both.
Yeah, that's really, there's always a little bit of hope, especially for this kind of seed, at this point, especially, even on NESCard's side, he's wanting that armor much more than he's wanting that sword. We're doing some good work with this, flame sword at this point.
Yeah, and that initial dive is much easier with the armor rather than the sword of Sherlock.
Yeah, 100%.
With those death tiles.
Alright, so NESCard gets his news about the Paul McCartney double set inside Mountain Cave and says, "Get me out of here, please." We'll continue exploration. He's got most of this map figured out at this point, so he should be coming across our last locations. It's probably, I would say, based on what I'm looking at, maybe 20-25% of the map left.
So I think we've seen everything, but we don't know how to get to Cantlin yet.
Yeah, exactly. It was often a a desert like north and east of where Ryguy was, and just like no direct access. Ooh, look at that one tile opening in that big mountain range right there. That's pretty funny. That's the ultimate that I would overlook. Ryguy, Red Dragon, throws out a stop spell. It lands. Swing away, buddy. Swing away. And here we go. We'll see if he can... He's got to get lucky. I mean, you're going to have to heal more after every attack. So it's not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination. He's got to have this dude throw sleeps and hurt mores frequently to take it out.
Yeah, but he does have 2 heal mores left after this heal coming up here. So he's got a shot at it.
While that's happening, we got NESCard going west, coming across his staff, so he knows where the jerk is after this, so he'll have access to Sharlock momentarily, and he'll be heading straight over the Hawk's Nest. The one problem here is he's down to 9 MP, so we'll see if he's able to take on whatever it is, and Ryguy gets successfully through that Red Dragon.
Yeah, nice 350 XP bump there for Ryguy, catching up a little bit. Unfortunately for him, he's starting to fall behind on exploration.
Yeah, he hasn't gotten to that far west stuff that we've seen NESCard, that's west of the grave, basically. Tablet and Garenham with the freebie cave in the basement. But here we go. Spike tile inside Hawk's Nest is going to be Stone Man. So we saw a brief pause by Ness before he started swinging there, and he was weighing his options. If he used the sleep, he would have no more healing left. So he opted to swing through and use that healing for heal more, and it worked out well. And he's rewarded with the armor.
Yeah, that's a big deal. So now I would say NESCard very far ahead at this point.
Yeah, now we can start postulating a few things here. Where do we ultimately see NESCard ultimately grind? Hawk's Nest is way out of the way, it seems, and even if it wasn't, it's a Stone Man. In the basement, we have a Golem grind, but the Golem has DL2, so you're going to have to flute constantly. Or does he ultimately try to find, maybe go back to that Red Dragon Armor Knight Overworld zone? There's a few options here for him, but we're going to have to grind. We're low on several things still.
Yeah, neither of those spikes seem like good options. I have to think he's probably going to try to find a zone with something like Red Dragons.
And also, is he going to not explore for Caitlyn and roll with Cords don't have anything and Sword is in Sharlock?
From watching NESCard, I would guess his play is going to be to try to find Caitlyn. Especially since he doesn't have the stats to finish yet.
Yeah, I mean, he could throw out a Repel, continue taking on those overworld fights of enemies that you do like. Although now that he's got that armor, he's up to 77 defense, and he is creeping in slowly towards that Silver Shield money, which we know is in Garenham and could possibly be in one of the 3 shops in Caitlyn as well. So while NESCard's heading back out here, we'll kind of touch base on what's happened over this nearly 2 hours that we've been racing here. Terrible stats and terrible enemy sets abound early, leading to much grinding on stuff you probably wouldn't want to grind. at one point, 53 minutes into this race, our runners had an exact tie on gear, exploration, and experience at 1,430 before a few levels later, Ryguy just honestly just tried to give it a push where NESCard continued to sit down on that grind, and that's 100% the difference in this race. NESCard's been pushing out with more stats, not great, but more, and has been more successful as a result in being able to make it to places where Ryguy has continued to throw himself against enemies that are just killing him and sending him back, and that's where we get our big separation here. But look at this. Ryguy finds the path up to Cantlin. It's kind of sneaking around all the way to the east coast to a one-tile gap up and then back west. And we'll see if we have some coordinates here in a moment. Yeah, as we saw earlier, Red Dragon's 50% sleep, 25% hurt more. And yeah, NESCard just had not seen that yet. But, you know, that's really good info to have. And honestly, you know, as long as that stop still lands, we're 1 for 1 on Ryguy's side. Not a terrible enemy to grind. Still don't want to see him in Charlock, though.
And it looks like Ness is going to check out the spike tile, which he's going to be probably disappointed when he sees it.
Ryguy at the old man. Thou must go fight. Sword in Charlock.
Yeah, and that was potentially a chance for Ryguy to catch up a bit, maybe getting that sword. But unfortunately for him, not finding any coordinates, the sword is going to be in Charlock in the seed.
Yeah, the sword would be a nice, especially knowing our grind now, that extra 12 attack, you know, a little nicer against this enemy, especially an enemy you're not wanting to deal with. You're reluctantly dealing with, I guess I should say. This has gone really not well for him, though. It keeps waking up, keeps breathing on him. He just needs to get through this one, though, and we'll see if 15 can bail him out on some stats. You saw nothing. Level 15 was a myth. We'll just go to 16 and we'll just assume that 15 never happened.
NESCard gonna preemptively save the princess. This may be a small opportunity here for Ryguy, because Ryguy already knows he's not going to need to save the princess.
Yeah, I don't mind this play, especially since NESCard's explored so much around the starting area and spreading out from there. He knows Cantlin has to be far away. So if there inevitably were coordinates, he would be that much quicker to getting to them potentially, especially if they were far out as well. So I kind of don't mind this play. I know there's been some discussions one way or the other. Some people absolutely would just take her exploring and wait until they confirm if there was cord. So, you know, sometimes it's like with anything in this game. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't.
And as I found out the other day, it's actually possible to lose a match because of the princess dialogue at the end.
Yeah, I was trying not to talk about that part because I remembered that as well. That was kind of brutal. But man, what a race. We'll leave it at that. So let's try and figure this out. Where do we think we're going to finally show up with some HP and or MP? Is level 16 finally going to give us like that mythical double-digit level, even if it's not high double digits? You know, any double digits would be fantastic right now.
Yeah, this seed's definitely been a slog. NESCard is scratched out about a 2,800, 2,900 point advantage here.
Yeah, absolutely. And with his prolific mapping, he knows exactly where he's having to head to locate where Caitlyn ultimately end up being. So this is... he found out about the Healmore along with that hurt from that werewolf finally. But I don't foresee it taking him too long to track down Caitlyn, find out the news that there's no cords, know that he has to pick up a sword inside Charlotte and get into a full dedicated grind on whichever enemy he ultimately does. So at this point, unless things go terrible, we get bad decisions by NESCard as far as grinding, it's clearly his to lose. He's at minimum, I'd say, at this point. And I'll be nice and say 1 dive ahead. It's more than likely 2+.
Yeah, and a subtle but not insignificant advantage NESCard has over a lot of players is, like you pointed out, his mapping is so precise and so fast. Like, he's able to draw accurate maps really quickly on the fly. And if you've ever tried to run this randomizer, that's a big advantage when you know exactly how much space is in every area.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't even draw lines accurately while doing this. I do my best. But Ryguy needs to go west. That bridge right there is the bridge that takes him to everything that he's missing. Yeah, the only thing I can, because I've seen Ryguy walk near that bridge a couple times and just never go across it. The only thing I can think is there's two westward paths, as we see NESCard finding that 1 tile gap, so he'll be at Caitlyn here momentarily. And he might just be confusing them both as being the same thing, not realizing there's 2 separate paths there, because he did check the lower area earlier.
Okay, NESCard just about to get the information that coordinates are not required. We'll see if he goes for an overworld grind, or maybe some sort of dive and grind situation where he grabs a sword and then makes another dive later on.
Yeah, it's going to be really... I'm going to be really curious to see what he does, because there is an Armor Knight Red Dragon Zone just to the west of Start. Not the greatest tile set that I can recall that it's in, as NESCard gets his news about no cords and now has complete knowledge of the map. Yeah, I think a Charlotte dive might not be the worst. It's not too terribly far away, maybe like 30-40 seconds around and north to where you can get in there. So. Although, Axe Knights, Green Dragons, right outside of town in desert tiles might also not be a bad play either, depending on what else is hiding with them here.
Yeah, this is kind of promising as a grind spot.
Yeah, he instantly starts walking back and forth after seeing the green dragon there. So, at least to level 16. Level 16 is pretty close, 9750 needed. So, you know, he's 8 of those enemies away, 8 and change away from that level. So, yeah, we'll see what 16 gives and what he opts to do from there.
And again, you see the experience. NESCard as an experienced player instantly recognizing that this is a good zone to grind and settle in here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he saw one Sharlock tier enemy that went down fairly easily. Immediately saw a second. Is getting them at a fairly good clip here in these desert tile set as well, which is fantastic as he picks up a crit on a green dragon and is that much closer to level 16. We got Ryguy running into another red dragon here. Does get that stop spell down. Unfortunately, this red dragon wants to swing. There we go. So he's getting close. He's probably got 2 or 3 attacks still to get through it though. He just you know, he's been kind of hanging out a little bit there. Just can't quite keep up on the experience here though. Now we got metal slimes in this desert. So over here on Ryguy's side, we see him re-exploring this area. We saw him over here very early. And that tells me that he just cannot figure out where he has to go. I almost assume it's if he does map, it's a mismap or just misunderstanding that there's those 2 westward paths up there by the grave. And he just needs that second one as you're going north to be able to make it out to those last few locations.
Well, he actually found Hawksness first. Maybe he just can't remember where it is.
Well, it's not even Hawksness. Hawksness is kind of like north of Sharlock and back west. It's straight west of Grave. There's a pathway that leads back to where Tablet and Garenham are. And Tablet would be huge for him with getting the token. But yeah, even getting back up to Sharlock would be huge. And there's a little path. That one's just north of Sharlock, though. Like, you go north and slightly west, and then it cuts off west, and that's where your Hawks and your Staff Cave are.
Yeah, but having that armor, I think, would help with exploration out a lot. And he just doesn't have it right now.
Exactly. Yeah, this is you know, this is just a shame here. It was really ramped up in such a good race for the first hour, and then we just got that NESCard power kicking in with 11 power 3, 9 hit points, 3 magic. There's our spells that were guaranteed at level 16, and we are definitely nowhere closer to go level yet.
Yeah, attack power, getting close, getting in the range. Maybe if you had great other stats, you'd be close enough, but nowhere near enough HP or MP right now.
Yeah, and I saw this being hypothesized in chat earlier, but that level definitely makes it more realistic, which is with that flame sword and the strength continuing to go up, by the time we get viable HP MP, we could very well not even have to care about picking up Erdrick's sword whatsoever.
Yeah, that's true. That 126 AP is without the big stick. That's with that flame sword, which is yeah, he potentially could win without the Erdrick sword. Although you'd think he would check out the basement of Sharlock if he got down there.
Yeah, I think ultimately it would depend on what's down there. If you're in a zone 3 of Sleepy Reds, and you can win without it, I think you might opt to just go ahead and skip it versus further your chances at spending either more stop spell money or anything of that nature. Here we go, right there. That 1 tile gap with the mountains here, that's where NESCard went before he found Hawksness. So hopefully Ryguy sees it here in a moment. He walked just a little too far east before walking north, and that opening is just off screen there for Ryguy, as we saw NESCard take a sleeping wreck from Red Dragon here.
Yeah, good point by Beta there. It's very dangerous if you end up encountering a Red Dragon and get ambushed in Sherlock. No matter what your stats are, that could end up ending a dive really quickly.
Absolutely. Coming back down here, I've been watching Ryguy very heavily. He did have that one tile opening on screen. Not sure if he noticed it or not, but at that point he was completely out of resources, opted to take a death warp. But yeah, you're absolutely right. If he could get the Hawksness, kill that Stone Man, which is very attainable at this point, get that armor, it would make his life so much easier as he tries to find the rest of what he needs on this overworld. Just getting very unlucky trying to notice that gap up there.
If you're NESCard right now, do you feel way behind? We know he's way ahead, but he can't possibly know that. The consensus in chat seems to be he probably thinks he's fine right now, which I don't. Considering how slow the start was and not really with a way forward, that's probably accurate, but it's hard to tell.
And sorry about being quiet there. Had a minor mic issue, but I fixed that now. So yeah, it looks like NESCard went back up to this Cantlin zone, is going to continue to grind here. So at this point, question in chat, how bad are the spikes? We have a Stone Man spike in Hawksness, which Hawksness isn't even really close, even if we wanted to do that. And we have a Golem spike in the basement. We do have a Fairy Flute. The bad news is the Golems have DL2 and are not afraid to use it.
And I'm not sure if you heard earlier, I was wondering aloud whether NESCard feels like he's behind here. It seems like chat seems to feel like that's not the case. He probably feels like he's okay.
NESCard's really good at analyzing a seed in his mind and recognizes just how... I would assume, at least, that he would be able to recognize just how terrible this seed was to start. The only thing I could possibly see him questioning is whether his opponent, upon seeing those towns, if he happened to see those other towns early enough, maybe reset and did a initial grind for Flamesword and had Flamesword Magic Armor Large Shield out of the gate, which ultimately we know did not take place. Both of them had the same idea with a slow grind for that info, but outside of that, I would say NESCard's exploration has been pretty pristine. He's had some good luck making it spots, so I would assume he probably wouldn't feel behind. So on Ryguy's side, we do see that he at least made it to the west, has found the Garenham news. Not sure if he's been, it doesn't look like it. Just a little bit north here is where Tablet Cave is and where his token is located.
Yeah, NESCard continues to press his XP advantage, getting a nice grind in here in the zone that he's found right around Catland.
So, exactly, and it's a very decent grind. He's keeping Repel up because while there are Metal Slimes here, they're not guarantee attack hits yet and more of a nuisance than anything at that point. But we should be having level 17 on the next enemy after this Axe Knight.
Okay, Ryguy grabs the half plate out of the shop in Garenham. Slight upgrade in defensive power.
Yep, and luckily for him, he's going to go west first here. It does dead end pretty quickly after you go west and south. A little bit of swamp down there, but he'll get kind of funneled back up to where the tablet is at least, and at least get that knowledge. But let's see what level 17's got. Level 17's got, you're going to level 18 stats, 0688. So, little tidbits in those stats that we need. But 78 HP is never going to cut it at all.
And Ryguy finding Tablet Cave.
Yeah, buddy. So, full exploration now for Ryguy. Unfortunately, just has not been able to get back to where Hawksness was. Either mismapped it or has completely just lost it in general. All this while, NESCard just on this dedicated Green Dragon, Axe Knight, Desert Grind, continues to separate out there. He's nearly double the amount of experience at this point. Yep, so at this point, we got NESCard grinding towards level 18, which is at 14,250. We got Ryguy, who has to, man, it's a tough spot to be in. He's got to get back up to Hawksness. Hawksness is just like northeast-ish through a one-tile gap and then back to the west past Sharlock. I've seen it at least twice on his screen since the initial time he's been there, but just unfortunately, he has not gone back through that same opening.
Yeah, and he knows the general direction it's in, and he knows that there's something good in there. He knows that at this point he has to know that either the armor or the sword are there.
Well, we see him back in Grave, and I don't recall, but I thought he went down here and did this already.
The only thing I could think is that he wants a gold grind at this point.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like, because, yeah, he started heading north here. As long as he can get away from the Star Wyvern and get these chests, he'll be in a place for it. Because, yeah, he would have just saw the Silver Shield and Garenham. So, yeah, must just want to get himself kitted out and then hope for the best. Question in chat, can armor and sword both roll in Sharlock? Absolutely. The only items that absolutely cannot roll in Sharlock are the Silver Heart, Stones of Sunlight, and Erdrick's Token. Everything else is in play, can end up anywhere, and we have seen multiple seeds with both those items being in Sharlock, which is very trolly if you ask me.
Okay, he is going to grab the gold grind. It's a little late in the seed to be doing this, but maybe he feels like this is his best chance to catch up.
Yeah, it kind of is a desperation play at this point. And with his inability to relocate Hawksness, I wonder if he gives up on that play and just hopes that armor is in Sharlock as well as sword. There's always that thought in the back of your mind, although if he's been paying attention, he should know, since there was the 2 cursed belts, that Hawksness has to have something. Alright, chat, let us know. Do you think level 18 is finally going to be our breakout level, even if it's not enough for ghost stats? Are we going to finally see a double-digit HP gain? We've had 1 double-digit MP gain at a whopping 10, but our best HP gain was level 17 at +8. Oh, I see we are going to 20. I see 20 from Bob. Let's see what we got here. We got 1 power, 0 agility, 4 hit points. We did get 18 magic. Going to 19.
Yeah, I think this is probably going to go to at least level 30.
That'd be fantastic. I think the highest I've ever seen be a requirement is 22, if I want to remember, and I can't even remember if that was in the 3.0 version of the randomizer or not.
Okay, Ryguy finishing up his homework. Picking up that rainbow drop.
Yeah, the good news is we have another race coming up at 7 p.m. Eastern, so at the rate we're going, we'll be able to just seamlessly go straight from this one into that one. I see there was a vodcast planned for 3. Unfortunately, the vodcast will have to be postponed, and we will have a vodcast of the possible vodcast of the vodcast of that prior race that we had already gotten the result from. So at this point with Ryguy, he went ahead, did the entire full grind here, getting trolled by NPCs, Q up 2 and G saying, why are NPCs still in this game? I threw that out because our creator, McGrew, is in chat. But let's see here. So he's getting geared up here. He's going to get the Flame and Magic Armor. He's got to make it back to Garenham for Silver Shield. Unless, I think that's closer in Cantlin. I don't know if Cantlin had one or not. But yeah, does he start pressing exploration again and revisiting this entire world, trying to find Hawksness or not at this point? Or does he take a chance at diving, grinding in Sharlock and hoping for the best?
Well, he's going to save here. So thinking he's probably going to go for the Silver Shield.
Yeah, and the save's not a bad play. If you spent the time to go ahead and set this up this late into a race, I wouldn't want it to backfire on you at this point. And he knows he has to go through that zone of death to get out of here, so you might as well do that. At this point, you're almost 2.5 hours into a seed, and you've done a gold grind for all the big gear. Another 30-second savings, very, very minimal. So while it's going on, I know we ain't talking much about NESCard, but there's only so many Green Dragon and Armor Knight or Axe Knight deaths that we can make discussion on. But with that said, he is getting near that next level, which is level 19 at 16,500 experience. We're looking for, at minimum, plus 15 in HP, and then we'll see what decisions are made from there.
Yeah, if he hits the HP he needs, he may just choose to do a dive into Sharlock, and that sword will put him well over the mark he needs for AP. Because he knows it's in there somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So we do have Ryguy has decided to go ahead and start pressing this exploration back out. He is definitely beelining it straight to Garenham, so he should have a Silver Shield here in about 30 seconds, barring a nasty enemy picking him up.
Well, Ryguy does make it out to Garenham, and he's going to get that Silver Shield.
Alright, so here we go. We're going to find out what Ryguy's ultimately going to do here. He's obviously going to take any of these fights along the way, regardless of what he decides, but is he going to, you know, give up on re-exploring this whole world and try and dive Sharlock, looking for stuff? He's actually going to have level 15 here in a moment, but or is he going to repress all those little boundaries and maybe find that one tile gap? Well then, I think that says, let's go! 0-1, 21, 27. He got everything he was looking for there. We're going to get topped off and make sure we have all our things, and we're going to see our first dive.
Yeah, pretty likely he's going to want to pick up the sword with those stats. Not necessarily needed, but I think you'd rather have it than not.
Yeah, agreed. The strength just completely tanked over the last several levels. We've had 10 total strength gain in 7 levels at this point.
Ryguy finally finding Hawksness. He's probably kicking himself right now. He's going to be kicking himself more when he sees what's here.
Yeah, exactly. He's absolutely going to be... if he doesn't already know he's behind, and I think he probably does based on how the exploration's gone, he's 100% going to know that this has gone bad. Because right now, NESCard has a 9,000 experience point lead on him and is diving for real.
He does pick up the armor. But we know that he's going to need another 4 levels before he has any chance of diving Sherlock. At least with a chance of winning.
Exactly. 4 levels, and there's not a good grind. There's a okay grind, and that's the grind that we saw NESCard do. Very consistent encounter rates with Axe Knights and Green Dragons, getting 130 and 135 experience a pop, but at best, that's all it was an okay grind. There's no decent grinds, but we had ryguy. He's going to go ahead and take a look at what's inside Sherlock and maybe see if the enemy sets in here might give him better odds at getting some levels. Alright, so let's get some guesses out in chat, because I will assume NESCard is going to be taking a look for that sword, based on what we've seen here. Is it going to be in the pyramid? Are we going to have it at Judge's table? And if it's in the pyramid, which one of these chests? As we find out, this top zone is terrible.
And this card electing to swing at the red after casting Stop Spell.
Yeah, and if you notice, the very first Stop Spell did not land. So, they do have some resist. It doesn't seem like it's very high, based on the luck that we've seen with the Stop Spells landing so far. But, you know, yeah, just keep that in mind.
Sorry, that's the first one I've seen miss today. I may have missed one, but looks like they've all landed up until that point.
Oh, it's 3 out of 16 resist per the tracker earlier. Thank you, Beta. Appreciate that. All right, so I'm gonna say we're gonna have the sword in the 250 chest, knowing the order of chests that NESCard opens in, that'll be the last one. So I'm going to say the 250 chest, which is middle, but we're going to find the fighter's ring at the $50 chest.
And 3 out of 16 is not too bad for a Stop Spell resist. That can roll up to 75% on Red Dragons.
Yeah, things went well there for sure. We see NESCard Zone 2 not too terrible. Down into Zone 3 in the U4, we get through here. We got one little short east to west or west to east, and then we'll be lit back up and heading up that treasury momentarily. Yeah, and as chat's noted now, the max roll that it can get now is 9 out of 16. That's okay, the maximum.
My mistake. I was looking at some outdated information. Still, it's a lot lower than it could roll.
All right, Dragon Scale in the 150. We got the big stick in the $100 chest. I did get my $50 fighter's ring though. Look at me. So yeah, he gets the big stick, he gets the fighter's ring, gets that fighter's ring on right away. So now 139 attack power, doing 9 to 19. As long as he can get over there with what he's got, it is in a commanding favorite to be able to wrap this seed up.
Yeah, this is almost free with those stats.
I wasn't even looking at all the stats, so it's actually 141. We just hadn't hit the equip on the fighter's ring yet, so even better, 10 to 20. this encounter rate's been a little ridiculous here. Beta Strep's huddled in the fetal position right now, getting flashbacks watching this. Yeah, that's got to be, what, 9 or 10 encounters now. This one's forced, though, and it's just a simple Axe Knight. Very free here. And we'll see if he can walk these brick tiles over to the Dragon Lord and how it goes.
Yeah, pretty easy to run away from most of those monsters with the 85 agility. And NESCardinality is going to be a heavy, heavy favorite to take this fight. It's 33. And 50. Up to 66. This is going really well for NESCardinality. That's 83. $102. $113. $125. $135. This is looking pretty much guaranteed at this point. $155. And I believe the next one is guaranteed, and it is. Get your GGs out for NESCardinality, as he's going to finish this bracket at 5-1. Ryguy is going to drop to 4-2.
Yeah, just a fantastically ran race on a slog of a map, slog of a grind. Finishes with a 232.25. Wow, just what an amazing seed this was. Two really experienced runners. We saw very similar thoughts throughout the first hour, and then we saw that divergence. And ultimately, the path NESCard chose was definitely the better of the two, as we see him with a commanding win here. So yeah, as chat's kind of talking, we have a race tonight, the final race in the slime group between Bob Pineapple MD and Centroid 41, which will have implications on who is where and who makes it in. Yeah, so with that, Dean, we have today's winner, NESCardinality, joining us in the booth. GG, how are you feeling about that seed?
Well, it was definitely my least favorite seed of the entire tournament so far. Really interesting how all elements worked against us. But I, as consolation, I have to admit, from very early on, for a solid hour or hour and a half, I was hoping the sword would be in Sharlock, and that happened. So that may have contributed to my victory.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, there was just so many different challenges from the very beginning of the game through mid-game exploration. This map was kind of spread out all over the place, and It was interesting to watch you two try and tackle it.
I'm very curious about what Ryguy found in terms of enemies anywhere, like once I found Wraiths and Knights and Rogue Scorpions, and then gradually moved up to the Wolf Lord Magiwyvern zone. I mean, I was really happy with not only how I was handling that, but also the fact that I wasn't really lured by the lure. I wasn't enticed by the lure of the potential of finding the sword somewhere. I just kept thinking to myself, like, if I go explore, what am I really hoping for? The flame sword would give me 8 attack power, and it wouldn't make that much of a difference. Beyond that, I'm literally only hoping for the sword. Maybe the armor would help a little, but yeah, the armor was safely behind a stone man, the sword was packed away in Sharlock, so I feel like I was doing the best thing I could have possibly done for the first, hour? How long was I grinding there?
It was quite a long time. I would say probably about hour 25, hour 35, something like that, with an official grind before you finally really started to press out.
Yeah, and I was hoping to learn Hurtmore. Of course, learning Hurtmore would have changed everything. That would have set a precedent for exploration to find something better, basically. But that didn't happen, and the stats kept not increasing, all those 0 power increases, and HP and MP stayed really low. I just felt like if I were to explore, I wouldn't get much out of it, so I stayed.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Early on, almost the entire first hour, you and Ryguy were like neck and neck, buying the same gear, fighting the same enemies. You both found that same 2-tile forest set down in that swamp, hitting those wraiths, taking those chances at those rogue scorpions. And at 53 minutes in, we were actually exactly dead even at 1,430 experience. It was just insane. Ultimately, you stuck on the grind a couple levels longer. That made it much safer to get out, where Ryguy did start to do that pushing of exploration, and ultimately, that's what led to the difference in this race.
Okay, well, it's always exciting when things are even for so long. I can't wait to watch it back. I'm thrilled to hear that Ryguy found, the right places to grind. That's really excellent.
Did you ever feel like you were behind at any point, or did you feel like your decisions were good and just the seed was just really tough?
I was thinking if I opened the opening chests in a different order, I could have gotten a flame sword, but again, it's just 8 power. I couldn't imagine it making that much of a difference. The only times I was worried about potentially being behind were when I started to get bottlenecked. I took a bad death warp outside of Cantlin, but I kept thinking back, remember how good a decision you made to keep grinding in the beginning, and from the sound of it, it really was as important as I thought it was at the time, and I'm kind of relieved to hear that.
Yeah, and after that level 16, Ryguy has decided to go ahead and throw in the towel. He is still, as we note, 3 levels away from go mode, so we'll see if we can get him in for an interview as well and get his thoughts on this one also.
Oh, wow. Wow. I imagine exploration must have been rough if there were still... I mean, when I found the grind zone outside of Cantlin, it is a big deal to find hurtmoreable enemies when you learn Hurtmore in a desert like that, in the middle of nowhere when there's nothing else. That was a huge deal, so I can totally understand if Ryguy didn't find that zone or didn't stay in it, it's totally understandable if there's a significant gap in experience.
Yeah, a big issue for Ryguy was when he found the staff and Hawksness, he was at a level where it was probably a borderline play, and he was out of resources to be able to take on that Stone Man. So he never checked it, and then it seems like he might have lost it at some point, because it took a long time to get back up there and get that armor. Is ultimately the last thing he picked up.
Oh, okay. The armor was certainly helpful. And again, when I got it, I was like, well, that's a little troublesome, but again, I was just so relieved it wasn't the sword, and I just kept reminding myself, it wasn't that big a deal to go through the swamps and just heal up a little bit. Kept finding these herb stations. The one thing I was disappointed about was not getting the silver shield, because when I found it in Grinham after a death warp, I told myself, we're only 4,000 away, we're gonna get it. And then there were two different situations where I got stranded in a corner without magic to cast return and surrounded by swamp, and I had the death warp. It happened twice.
Yeah, and I was noting that as well, and that was just terrible luck. I think that was the first time we had seen an Armor Knight in that zone going west. We'd seen Red Dragons a few times, but I hadn't seen the Armor Knight, and then that Armor Knight showed up and ran you out of resources and just unfortunately couldn't hang on to that gold.
Yeah, there were a couple times in that Red Dragon Armored Knight zone when I regretted trying to run instead of attacking, and maybe once vice versa, but other than that, I was really happy with my decisions overall.
So with that, Dean, we do have today's runner-up, Ryguy, joining us. GG Ryguy, that was a special seed. What are your thoughts on it?
I think around the hour and a half mark, I was just pushing buttons, waiting to see a dot done, so I could be like, "Yep, me too."
I know the feeling. I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a combination of, obviously that was a nasty seed, but it just took me too long. Like at the beginning to find those desert tiles at the south that had zone 2, it took me forever to get there. I was messing around with scorpions. That was terrible. Took me way too long to realize I could stop spell the reds and get experience from them. So it was kind of a combination of both things. But yeah, I wasn't surprised that ends. I did try picking up 16 at the end in case that was the magic level. And it looks like you needed 19 to win. Oh, gosh.
Hey, yeah, I actually thought it was 18, but when someone said 3 more levels, I remembered, yeah, 19,500 experience. That is a long way to go.
So Ryguy, I'll give you the same info I gave NESCard. For the first almost hour of the seed, you guys were neck and neck, making very, very similar decisions, and we ultimately saw at 53 minutes, you two were exact same gear, exact same experience. Ultimately, what changed over the course of the rest of the race was NESCard did ultimately sit down and just continue to grind a few of those zones to the east, where there was the Knights and the Wraith Knights and the Wizards, where you started doing that pressing on exploration, and that's where we saw the experience gap come from.
Yeah, as you bring that up, that's another place where I kind of messed up too. I must have lost track of our power or something. I didn't realize we could 2-shot Wraith Knights, was it? Or something over there in the east by Breckenary. And I think I eventually realized it and started getting experience from it, but that was another thing I was kind of late to, so that doesn't surprise me. I'm kind of surprised I hadn't lost out earlier, because I really thought I was late to some of those early grinds too, but...
Now, we saw you find Hawksness first, actually, and it was quite a while before you went back there. Did you forget that was there, or did you just kind of were waiting to save that for later?
Yeah, I found Hawksness with 4 HP and 4 MP. That's always the dream. But yeah, I was getting thrashed by all kinds of spike tile enemies on the overworld. We had such low HP that I felt like unless you could 2-shot it, you were in for bad news. I mean, it turned out it was a Stoneman. I didn't really think of that either. If it was a Stoneman, we could have put it to sleep and gotten there faster, but so that's another thing I kind of overlooked. But I was just figuring most spike tiles I am just getting slaughtered by, so I kind of put it off.
Yeah, so very fair. Yeah, I mean, this was a slog of a seed. I mean, obviously, if you need to get to level 19 for HP ghost stats, which level 19 finally had a little bit of everything there for the HP and the MP, making it nice. But yeah, the stats were very slow and non-existent all throughout, and it was very, very interesting to watch you both make decisions and determinations on where you wanted to grind, and it was a real joy to watch. Any other thoughts on the seed from either of you?
I'm glad it was a joy. I kept thinking, like, how am I going to apologize to everyone for this seed that was such a slog? But if it was enjoyable to watch, I'm very glad for you guys.
With NESCard, joy is not the first word I would have picked for this one, but cool.
Yeah, it did feel a minute over an hour 45.
Okay. Well, thank you as always. Huge thank you to the crew. I just can't believe how many races have got. I mean, it must be somewhere around 200 races already, right? And everyone is so on top of them. And it's been so entertaining for the community, so I can't thank you guys enough every single time we race.
Well, I definitely enjoyed watching that. So you guys, like, high-level runners deal with a really tough seed and come out on the other side. That was pretty enjoyable to watch, for me at least.
So, Ryguy, you're joining our 4-2 crew. Unfortunately, this race does officially eliminate you from bracket contention, which is a little rough. You were in a very, very tough slime group there. We do still have that race tonight that'll finalize the positions and order of the people that will join. But any thoughts on the overall group stage as it played out for you?
I thought from Tilo's scenarios, if something happened in a later race, I could still get a tiebreaker or something. But either way, I don't know. 4-2 is pretty good. Certainly can't complain about that. Little rough to get eliminated out of the brackets at 4-2, but I don't know. After that last seed, maybe that's for the better. I don't know if I want to see too many more.
No, you're absolutely right, and I can't read. Yeah, if NESCard wins, which is what happened, but Bob loses the Centroid, that's where the tiebreaker comes into play. You're right. It was just hidden on my screen, so it'd be a tiebreaker between you, Bob, and Ziggy to determine both the 2 and 3 seeds.
Yeah, but either way, whoever loses that, even if there's a tiebreak, whoever loses that, it's going to be 4-2, right? So someone 4-2 is getting ousted, which is a little rough, but I mean that's how it works.
No, it's all right. There's always a little bit of hope here, and Bob's already sweating it out in chat earlier from what I saw, so we'll see what happens here. So this has been interesting seeing all these different tiebreaker scenarios play out.
Wow, I have to say I'm stunned that someone with 4-2 is going to get knocked out. I really didn't expect that.
Yeah, I'm probably the worst person to mention it, but I'm pretty sure there's already 2 that are in that scenario at this point, which is just a testament to how good some of these group stages have been. So at this point, we'll go ahead and start getting this wrapped up. Looks like we have 2 final official group rages. We have that Bob Pineapple MD Centroid 41 that'll close out the slime group. That is set for 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. We have Niminva and Up 2 and G closing out the Scorpion group with bracket implications tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern as well. The only thing else that we have on deck is a little 3-way race to complete the 3 seed in, I think it was the Druin group, that's scheduled for 9:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night on Monday. So we'll get a little action there. Any final thoughts for this race though before we wrap up today, Billick?
No, thanks to everybody, all the runners and the other people behind the scenes, the trackers and the restreamers. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, very, very nice. So yeah, we are shooting to be back at 7 p.m. tonight. So be back here, DW Randomizer, just a little over 3 hours from now to see some more great Dragon Warrior Randomizer action. But for our restreamer, MathGirl718, along with our tracker, Camion Rinikai, and my co-commentator, Billick, I was DK9146. Everyone have a great afternoon.